I wish to reinforce the government's ambition to eventually cover all sectors with progressive wages on top of workfare as a fundamental layer of support for our low-wage workers. We are starting in sectors with the highest proportions of low-wage workers in the workforce and identifying ways to expand beyond these sectors. We also recognize that there are low-wage workers employed in similar occupations but distributed in other sectors. So we are studying practical ways to cover various occupational groups under progressive wages, and will share more when ready. To the figures Mr. Gerald Giam quoted yesterday, the discrepancy arises because of coverage. So part-time employees work fewer hours, so their gross wages would naturally be lower. Similarly, for self-employed persons, the nature of their earnings and their working hours are not comparable. But let's also look at the big picture. The wages of our low-wage workers have not stagnated in the past decade. We have seen our efforts improve the wages of all Singaporeans, and we have seen progress at the bottom 10% and at the bottom 20%. So just to give you some idea, the bottom 20% of wages increased by 39% in real terms in the last decade, 2009 to 2019. And at P10, wages increased by 37% in real terms, same period. So that's really the big picture, that our wages of our low-wage workers have not stagnated, they have gone up, and we will continue to help them progress. But regardless of how the numbers differ, the important point is that low-wage workers also receive the workfare support. And in time to come, our aim is to cover them through progressive wages too. Nevertheless, more broadly, I thank Mr. Gerald Giam for his consistent support of the PWM since 2014. I believe he was an NCMP when he commented on its launch. We share similar objectives, even if our methods and our approaches may differ. Mr. Giam may have the impression that there's little risk of disemployment when higher PWM wages are mandated. It is precisely because of the calibrated way in which we have rolled out PWM, negotiated with the industry and the labour movement, have we been able to avoid disemployment and improve wage outcomes in which the market can bear. Where feasible, the tripartite partners make positive improvements to the work conditions, as I shared earlier with the security sector, which in turn promotes more local hiring. So it's a win for the employer, a win for the worker, and also a win for the service buyer and hopefully consumers in future. The government stands ready to support, to ease the transition for firms, including training support. And that is why sectoral tripartite consultations are critical.